Hey guys, this is Tyler Zombro with Tread Athletics, and today we're going to go over our top 3 sinkers in the league. So to start us off, we're going to go no further than Clay Holmes. So Clay, obviously his sinker has become very well known, very popular in the game today. He's a seam shift god. Everybody is starting to recognize his talents. If you haven't seen it, go back and look at some of the videos we did, kind of forecasting his success, looking at why the Yankees traded for him last year. A lot of really good info in there that you can take away. But to start with, Clay is really an outlier with how much he throws his sinker. He throws his sinker 83% of the time. Again, we don't encourage many guys to throw a ton of fastballs, but his sinker is just such an outlier, and that's why it's number 1 on our list. When you look at it, it's such a unique blend of a very negative launch angle against, as well as getting whiffs. So if you look back on our inflection point video, you can see that with sinkers, we're not always going to get a ton of whiffs on the pitch, but we're looking for poor quality of contact, low average exit velo, and of course having that launch angle as low as possible. In Clay's situation, his average launch angle against on his sinker is negative 11 degrees. So this ball is getting pounded into the ground day in and day out, which makes it number 1 on the list here, while also having a 28% whiff rate. So again, it's insane to think that somebody who's inducing such weak contact on a sinker getting that many whiffs with it. At the end of the day, the launch angle and the whiffs, we're looking more at average launch angle and exit velo against, but Clay is such a unique guy having both in his favor. Looking at the metrics behind it, Clay averages 96.9 miles an hour with his sinker. His spin-based axis is 130 and it's 82% efficient. So again, for a lot of you guys who struggle with quote-unquote cutting the ball, this is a great opportunity to try those seam shift scenarios, mess around with different grips, see if you can catch that seam shift, and all of a sudden you may have a demon sinker. Next on our list is going to be Brewstar Gratterall. So Brewstar, a little more on the velocity side, and he's an outlier certainly in that component, has that crossbody stride that adds a ton of deception. He's averaging 99.9 miles an hour with the pitch right now, 91% spin efficient, and it's on a 130 axis. So both Clay and Brewstar are on a 130 axis, Clay again being 82% efficient, Brewstar 91. Speaks to how important seam shift is, because again, for observed movement, they're getting 45 minutes to an hour past that on the clock. Brewstar, for instance, 2:15. Clay obviously can get down 2:30, 3 o'clock, even some into the negatives there vertically. So both of these guys, quote unquote, cut the ball. Again, this is something we've talked about with Rapsodo versus Trackman, seam shift becoming more popular. Make sure you have all that information at hand so you're making educated decisions with that. The last guy we wanted to talk about at number 3 is Kyle Wright. So Kyle started to rely more and more on the sinker this year. Looking at the outcomes, average launch angle of -7. So we talked about Clay's average launch angle being so low. Kyle, the same thing. And when you're looking at sinkers, you really want to make sure that that launch angle is in a good area. You're getting into the negatives, that's awesome. Otherwise, you're trying to be 5 or below to make sure majority of those balls are going to be ground balls that are put in play. From Kyle's standpoint, the 4-seam hasn't been as effective this year. He's throwing the sinker 94.4 miles per hour, which is pretty good velocity there. It is 83% efficient on a 145 axis. So again, 2 of the top 3 sinkers here are below 85% efficient. This should tell you something about when you're looking at pitch design, whatever it might be, that hey, I don't need to chase after efficiency. I can get creative to cause some seam shift here. So you can see 2 of the top 3 here are 130 with 82 and 83% efficiency respectively. So those are our top 3 sinkers, a little bit different for each, but they're seam shift heavy, creates that illusion of great depth, that late movement, which makes them so nasty. So there are our top 3 sinkers. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.